heaven doesn't exist. I suppose heaven could possibly lie on the other side of a black hole, but for the dead to get there, they'd have to be fired off into space by rocket, and that is impossible. This is my special food box. Father is not allowed to touch it because it is mine. I keep my most favorite foods inside of it, such as licorice laces, pink wafers, red food coloring, Milky Bars, and clementines. I think I would make a very good astronaut. To be a good astronaut, you have to be intelligent, and I'm intelligent. You also have to understand how machines work, and I'm good at understanding how machines work. You also have to be someone who will like being on their own in a tiny spacecraft thousands and thousands of miles from the surface of the Earth. And I really like tiny spaces, so long as there is no one else in them with me. And also, there are no yellow things or brown things in a spacecraft, so that would be okay too. Oh, Christopher, what happened the other day? I thought you were going to call the police. Can you probably think about Mr. Shears?
Well, I know that your father doesn't like him very much.
Why?
You mean you don't know?
No.
Look, Christopher, maybe I shouldn't be telling you this. Perhaps we should take a walk in the park. This isn't the place to be talking about this sort of thing.
Okay.
See, Christopher, your mother and Mr. Shears were very, very good friends.
You mean like they were doing sex with each other?
Yes, they were having an affair. I have to go now.
My memory is like a film. That is why I'm really good at remembering things. Because my memory has a smell track, which is like a soundtrack. And when people ask me to remember something, I can simply press rewind and fast forward and pause, like on a video recorder, but more like a DVD player because I don't have to rewind through everything in between to get to memory of something a long time ago.
What is this?
A book I'm writing?
Is it true that you talked to Miss Alexandra?
Yes.
I asked you one thing, Christopher. One thing.
I hate yellow. This is because of bananas, double yellow lines, yellow fever, custard, yellow flowers, and sweet corn. I hate brown because that is the color of poo, gravy, dirt, and wood.
There you are, young man. How was your day today?
Good. I had life skills with Mrs. Gray, and I had tomato soup for lunch and 5 apples, and I did some math, and then we went into the park and collected leaves to make collages.
Excellent, excellent. You know, I'm gonna go put up those shelves if you need me, okay?
Okay. Lots of love, your mom. Then I was really confused because Mother had never worked as a secretary for a firm that made things out of steel. Mother had worked as a secretary for a big garage in the center of town. And Mother had never lived in London. Mother had always lived with us. And Mother had never written a letter to me before either. There was no date on the letter, so I couldn't work out when Mother had written the letter, and I wondered whether someone else had written the letter and pretended to be Mother. And then I looked at the front of the envelope and saw that there was a postmark, and there was a date on the postmark, and it was quite difficult to read. But it said that the letter was posted on October 16th, 1997, which was 18 months after Mother had died.
I said that I wanted to explain to you why I went away when I had the time to do it properly. Now I have lots of time. I was not a very good mother, Christopher. Maybe if things had been different, maybe if you'd been different, I might have been better at it. I'm not like your father. Your father is a much more patient person. He just gets on with things, and if things upset him, he doesn't let it show. But that's not the way I am, and there's nothing I could do to change that. I often thought I couldn't take any more. I get cross even though I don't mean to. And by the end, we stopped talking to each other very much because we knew it would always end up in an argument and it would go nowhere. I really felt lonely, and that was when I started spending lots of time with Roger. I started seeing Roger on his own because he was the only person I could really talk to. And when I was with him, I didn't feel lonely anymore. He suggested that I should leave your father and we should move into a house together. But I said that I couldn't leave you, and he was sad about that, but he understood that you were really, really important to me. I realized you and your father were probably better off if I wasn't living in the house. Then he would only have one person to look after instead of two. Then Roger said that he asked the bank for a transfer. That means he asked them if he could have a job in London, and he was leaving. He asked me if I wanted to come with him. I thought about it for a long time, Christopher, and it broke my heart, but eventually I decided it would be better for all of us if I went. So I said yes. I meant to say goodbye, but when I rang your father, he said I couldn't come back. He was really angry. He said I couldn't talk to you. I didn't know what to do. Christopher, I never meant to hurt you.
Hey, Christopher? Christopher! Christopher! Oh crap. I was gonna tell you. I was waiting till you were old. Oh, Christopher. Oh crap. Look, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I want you to know that you can trust me. Maybe I don't tell the truth all the time, but God knows I try, Christopher. Life is bloody hard. You know, it's bloody hard telling the truth all the time. Sometimes it's impossible. And I want you to know that I'm trying. And perhaps this is not a very good time to say this, and I know you're not going to like it, but you have to know that I'm going to tell you the truth from now on. About everything. Because if you don't tell the truth now, then later on, it hurts even more. So, I killed Wellington, Christopher. Look, Christopher, let me explain. Just, when your mom left, Eileen, Mrs. Shears, she was very good to us. To me. And I'm not sure I would have made it without her. Well, you know how she was around here most days. She was helping out, cooking and cleaning, popping in to see if we were okay. If we ever needed anything, I thought she might want to move in with us, or that we might move in with her. I thought we were friends, but I guess I thought wrong. We argued, Christopher, and she said some things that I'm not going to repeat to you because they were not very nice. But it hurt, and I think that she cared for that bloody dog more than she did for us. For me. And maybe that's not so stupid, looking back. Maybe we're a bloody handful. And maybe it is easier living on your own, looking after some stupid mutt than sharing your life with other actual human beings. I mean, we're not exactly low maintenance, are we? Anyway, we had this row. After a particularly nasty little blowout, she chucked me out of the house. And do you know what that bloody dog was like after the operation? Bloody schizophrenic. Anyway, we're yelling at each other, and it's in the garden relieving itself. So when she slams the door behind me, that bugger's waiting for me. And I know, maybe if I had just kicked it, it probably backed off. But Christopher, when that red mist comes down, you know what it's like. Me and you, we aren't that different. So when I saw that bloody mutt, just everything that's been bottled up for 2 years, just
Then Father was silent for a bit.
I'm sorry, Christopher. I never planned for this to turn out this way.
And then I knew that it wasn't a joke, and I was really frightened. Then he held out his hand, and he spread his fingers out in a fan. But I screamed and pushed him backward, so that he fell off into his bed and onto the floor.
We'll talk later, Christopher.
But I couldn't get out of the house straight away because he would see me, so I would have to wait until he was asleep. The time was 11:16 p.m. I waited until it was 1:20 a.m., but I hadn't heard Father come upstairs to bed. I wondered if he was asleep downstairs, or whether he was waiting for me to come in and kill me. So, I got out my Swiss Army knife and opened the saw blade so that I could defend myself. Then I went out of my bedroom really quietly and listened. I couldn't hear anything, so I started going downstairs really quietly and really slowly. I carried on walking till I got to the hallway. Then I looked around the corner of the living room. Father was lying on the sofa with his eyes closed. I looked at him for a long time. Then he snored, and I jumped, but Father's eyes were still closed. He was asleep. That meant I could get out of the house if I was really quiet, so I didn't wake him up. Constellation Orion from here. People call it Orion because it looks like a hunter with a club and a bow and an arrow, but that's just silly because the stars can be connected to make just about any shape, like a dinosaur. People can view things from afar in totally different ways, but at any rate, Orion's not a hunter. It's a series of 21 stars billions of miles away, and that is the truth.